Alhamdulillah, نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بالإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today inshallah we'll continue with our lesson in Ilm al-Mustalah, and we're covering the book of Ibn Malakhin rahimahullah that is called At-Tadhkira fi Ulum al-Hadith, which is a mukhtasar of his book Al-Muqna. So in the last lesson we had covered concerning matters relating to Al-Mutabat and also Al-Shawahid and also Al-Ittibar. And today inshallah we'll continue regarding other of types of hadith that the author rahimullah have mentioned. So of those hadith that he mentioned regarding, that we'll cover today, that he mentioned next concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat wal-jumhur ala qubuliha, that he mentioned concerning that of those matters that relate to ilm al-mustalah that is covered amongst the ulama of hadith that he discussed concerning was ZIyadah AtThiqat. That the next matter is regarding ZIyadah AtThiqat, and we define concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat that these are additional statements that are mentioned in the hadith by some of the narrators. Then they mention wal-jumhur ala qubuliha, and that majority of the ulama is of the view that it is acceptable. So this will be our discussion concerning regarding ilm al-mustalah. So that's the matter that he discussed concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat. So this matter regarding ZIyadah AtThiqat that the author rahimullah have mentioned, that we can somewhat try to cover aspect of this. Then after the first of those things that we normally cover regarding ZIyadah AtThiqat, this particular type of hadith concerning, and also the ruling that pertains to it, of those things that they cover concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat. What is meant by this? So ZIyadah wa thiqat. ZIyadah meaning something which is additional, and thiqat meaning those narrators who are said to be maqbool. So those narrators that are said regarding that they combine between adapt and also adala. So they are said to be thiqat. So in brief, that they mention regarding what is defined as ZIyadah AtThiqat, this particular mustalah that is used by the ulama of hadith and also used by others, but more so it's related to ilm al-hadith. So they mention that as for ZIyadah AtThiqat, of those definitions that's given concern, they mention and yarwi jama'. So of those definition, and yarwi jama', it is narrated, this hadith is narrated by a jama' min al-riwat, from amongst the narrators, hadithan wahid, and they narrate one hadith, bi isnadin wahid, with one isnad, wa matan wahid, and matan, the text of the hadith also is one from the same source. فيزيد بعض الرواة فيه زيادة لم يذكرها بقية الرواة. So they mentioned that this definition is, and we will find a hadith that's narrated by a group of narrators, and the hadith is one hadith with one isnad and also with the same matan. But we find some of the narrators, one or more of the narrators, that they have mentioned something additional that was not mentioned by the other narrators. So this is ZIyadah AtThiqat. So meaning, in clarifying that meaning, that we find a hadith that has one isnad and also it has the same matan. And we find that some of the narrators in that particular isnad, that they have added additional information that the others from amongst the other narrators did not mention. So that's concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat. They mention concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat that it can occur regarding additional information being mentioned by some of the narrators that was not mentioned by others of the narrators, either in regard to the matan, the chain, or regarding to the matan, which is the text, or the isnad, or by way of the isnad, the chain of the hadith. So you have concerning that matter regarding ZIyadah AtThiqat. ZIyadah AtThiqat also the very of those matters regarding ilm hadith that is within those matters relating to ilm al-ilal, regarding concerning being able to identify these extra information mentioned hadith and to see is it actually a part of the hadith or not. So it's one of the more detail of those matters that are discussed concerning ilm al-hadith. And also you find that a lot of ahkam also relates to this. It can also have an impact on various ahkam that relating to to some of the hadith. So regarding concerning this matter, that as mentioned concerning that أن يروي جماعة من الرواة, and they mentioned that الثقات حديثا واحد بإسناد واحد بمتن واحد فيزيد بعض الثقات زيادة في السند الحديث أو في متن لم يذكرها ساهر رواة الحديث. So that's concerning زيادة الثقات, where again a group of narrators have mentioned hadith. The hadith has the same isnad and also it has the same matan. But we find some of the narrators have mentioned something additional in regards to the isnad, the chain, or regards to the matan, the text of the hadith, that other of the narrators did not mention. So what is the stance of the ulama pertaining to this? So as for that matter, as we mentioned regarding that this is concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat, where it and ZIyadah AtThiqat, and we mentioned concerning this is more particular to those who are narrators said to be thiqat. So this is not regards to narrators who are said to be daif. So this concerns the more detail of those matters that relates to ilm al-hadith, where also to clarify that the narrators who are said to be thiqat, that they can make mistake. So even those who are said to be thiqat, trustworthy narrators and also reliable narrators, that they also can make errors, and that's detecting their errors. So regarding concerning this matter, the ulama rahimahullah, that they have mentioned concerning that this ziyadah, additional information regarding by way of the thiqat, that either it can occur in the isnad and also it can occur with the matan by way of the narrators. So additional narrators are mentioned, or at times additional wordings are mentioned in the text of the hadith. So that's concerning where it occurs in the hadith. So you find many hadith that falls into this category regarding concerning these matters. At times that it may conflict with other hadith, or seems to be conflicting with other hadith. So these ziyadah can occur concerning in the matan. So concerning of cases concerning ziyadah that occurs in the matan, that we're concerned that in the text of the hadith, concerning the wording of the hadith, we might find, for example, by way of ziyadah fil al-matan, where one of the narrators who are trustworthy have added either a word or a sentence in the text of the hadith that others narrated did not mention. For example, this hadith that is narrated by Imam Malik rahimahullah, An-Nafi' and Ibn Umar ta'ala anhu, قال أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فرض زكاة الفطر من رمضان على كل حر أو عبد ذكر أو أنثى من المسلمين. Al-Hadith. So in this hadith that is in Bukhari and Muslim and others, that the hadith, as we mentioned in the hadith, that there's something additional in the matan, in the text of the hadith. So the hadith is narrated by Imam Malik, An-Nafi' and Ibn Umar ta'ala anhuma, that he mentioned that the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala farda zakat al-fitr, that the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made compulsory the payment of zakat al-fitr for Ramadan, during Ramadan, ala kulli, upon each hur, free person, slave, male and female. Then I mentioned min al-muslimin, then also I mentioned from amongst the Muslims. So they mentioned regarding concerning that, the ulama have detected concerning that this particular hadith, that also you find the same hadith. Now it is narrated also, that same hadith, an Abdullah, that is narrated by an Abdullah ibn Umar, and also you'll find concerning Ayub as-Saktayani and others upon him, that they mention وغيرهما. So you find Ubaydullah ibn Umar wa Ayub as-Saktayani وغيرهما, and other than them narrate this hadith An-Nafi' and Ibn Umar دون ذكر لف من المسلمين, without mention the words من المسلمين. So you find that some narration of Imam Malik that it mentioned من المسلمين, but as for the narration of Ubaydullah ibn Umar and Ayub as-Sakhtayani and others, they do not include من المسلمين. Their narration of the hadith does not include من المسلمين. So based upon this, is this so the ulama mentioned that there's an additional wording, which is the word min al-muslimin in the hadith, as in a narration of Imam Malik, and others do not include this word min al-muslimin. So it is something which is acceptable or not. So this is that ziyadah that occurs in the isnad. Is it to be accepted as it's narrated by someone who is thiqa, or is it to be rejected? What's the stance of the ulama on this matter? So this is a type of matter that relates to ziyadat al-thiqat. So you find concerning those matters, you find that the ulama now have to see that this additional wording, is it something to be accepted or not to be accepted. So you find this occur in various hadith. Sometime in the matan, someone additional is mentioned in the isnad, and also in the matan, in the wording, some additional wordings are mentioned. So what is to be done in regarding that particular case? So as for the madhahib of the ulama, or the position of the ulama regarding this particular ziyadah that occurred in the matan, as the author mentioned, Ibn Mulaqin rahimullah, wal jumhur ala qabuliha, that majority of the ulama is of the view that ziyadat al-thiqat, it is something which is acceptable. But when we look at the aqwal of the ulama, and more so regarding concerning knowing what's the stance of the ulama of the salaf, who are said to be of the cornerstone of those who are the ones that are known for ilm al-hadith, then we'll see concerning what's their view and stance on this matter. So as for the aqwal of the ulama on this matter regarding, is it acceptable to, what's the view regarding accepting ziyadat al-thiqat, or refute or not accepting it, that you find various views. Amongst those views, that we'll find that of the ulama, that some of the ulama that mention regarding of mutaakhirin min al-hadith, and also al-fuqaha wal-usuliyin, that they have the view concerning qubul ziyadat al-thiqat mutlaqa. So you find some of the ulama that take the view that in all circumstance one can accept ziyadat al-thiqat, because in all circumstance. So that's concerning of the views of the ulama that are there. And these views somewhat one of the views that are mentioned a lot by the ulama pertaining to this particular discussion. A second view of the ulama is that they take the view that is, they make a distinction regarding tafriq bayna az-ziyadat al-munafiya, that ziyadah that seems to be contradicting, wa ghayri munafiya, and that ziyadah that doesn't contradict. So they can somewhat see if there's a contradiction, it seems to be conflicting or contradicting, then that which is that there's some contradiction or some conflict, then they refute, then they will reject it. It will be rejected. So that's concerning. So for them, that they'll accept some, and others they will reject. So the ones which are that is rejected, if there's a conflict, then they'll reject. And as for if there's no conflict, then they'll accept it. And that's concerning of the view that is taken by some of the ulama. Then there's a third view that of the ulama that they mention, قول الذي عليه, they say أئمة al-hadith, أئمة al-hadith, that of the view concerning that, what I said that nuqad أئمة al-hadith, that their view concerning that, الزيادة الثقات لا يحكم أو لا يحكمون على زيادة الثقات بحكم كلي, that they do not have a set rule regarding accepting زيادة الثقات, but rather that they have a view or position regarding that each that hadith, that زيادة الثقات, that it is based upon qara'in, is based upon other factors. So looking at the hadith case by case, and each hadith is looking at the factors that are involved, and that will decide whether hadith is accepted or not. So based upon, as they said, the qara'in, those other external, those other factors that relates to the hadith. So it is not a straightforward approach regarding in every case is accepted or in every case is it rejected, but rather, nor also it is not based upon whether it is conflicting or not conflicting, but each case will have its own circumstance that will help to make a conclusion, to make a decision as whether to accept this ziyadah or not to accept it. So it's based upon the qara'in, based upon those other factors. So at times those qara'in may give strength that one should accept this ziyadah, and also at times that the qara'in, these additional factors, may help the person that might indicate rejecting this ziyadah. So the person goes according to the qara'in, based upon those other factors. And also they mentioned, you find that from the ulama of the early ones who established and known for ilm al-hadith, that's the view that they have taken, and that's the approach that they had. And concerning of those concerned that, I've had this view that they mentioned that this is the view taken by the kibar of the ulama, and amongst those who have taken this view that they mention is the approach of Abdurrahman ibn Mahdi, who died 198. Also the view of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who died 241. Also the view of Yahya ibn As-Sa'id al-Qattan, who died 198. Also Ali ibn Medina, 234. Also Imam al-Bukhari, also Abu Zur'ah, also Abu Hatim, also Nasa'i wa Daraqutni. So these are the ulama of kibar concerning ilm al-hadith, that that's the approach that they had, that they look at the qara'in, those other factors, to help them to come to a decision whether this ziyadah is accepted or not. So it is not a straightforward rule regarding in all cases ziyadah al-thiqat is acceptable, and also there's no straightforward rule regarding that it is in all cases rejected, nor regarding because it contradicts or not contradicts while they accept, but based upon different factors that each hadith would be studied, and based upon those factors then the decision would be made. So that's concerning this matter, and that's concerning the more correct view of the A'immat al-Kibar, that unfortunately that you find that some of the ulama of hadith of more of latter times, that they are somewhat more aligned to the view of the fuqaha and the usuliyin regarding concerning in all cases accepting ziyadat al-thiqat, and not per se looking at the qara'in. And also as for the view of those who kind of somewhat made a distinction regarding if there's a contradiction then they'll reject, and if there's not then they'll accept. Also that view is not the view taken clearly by the ulama of hadith of old. So that's concerned that matter, and you have other views on the topic, but those are the more renowned of those views. And as mentioned, that the view of al-hadith is the view concerning that the qara'in, based upon concerning that this matter also go into, as they mentioned, concerning that of the condition of hadith regarding it being acceptable is regarding ittisal al-sanad, that is have a continuous chain. Second, adalat al-rawi, the narrator is said to be one who's of outstanding uprightness regarding his deen and his character. Third, also that he has of dabt, is of one who's very precise regarding his memory. Also, fourth, that they look at also matters relating to adam al-shuzud wal-illah, that is also no contradiction in the hadith, and also there's nothing that is nothing that it can affect the hadith negatively, that is not ordinary detected. So those are the condition, and this is the matter that falls into, they say, ilm al-ilal, regarding things that needs to be looked into, that may seem for one is apparent seems to be okay, but in reality that's not the case. So concerning that matter, that's the view of the ulama of hadith regarding this matter. Then after rahimullah, after discussing this matter, then he goes into the next matter regarding al-mazid fi muttasil asanid. So regarding concerning this matter regarding mazid fi muttasil asanid, that also of those matters that also that they mention or define concerning that this matter is regarding, we'll find that a matter that's somewhat a spin-off from the matter before, we'll find that mazid fi muttasil isnad. So the next matter to be discussed after ending concerning matters relating to ziyadat al-thiqat. And as for the books that may discuss this, that you find that various books concerning those books that discuss concerning books al-ilal will be of those books that will be of the primary source regarding these type of matters regarding ziyadat al-thiqat. Also you find that in those cases most of the books of the books of the fuqaha, because of them not per se, or because of them taking the stance that ziyadat al-thiqat in all circumstances is acceptable, that you find the books of fuqaha that you find that they sometimes use as dalil hadith, that there's some criticism of a part of the hadith, that even though the narrator is may be said to be thiqah, or is said to be thiqah. But because this is not there, because of the position that they take, where they accept everything regarding ziyadat thiqat, sometimes they might accept hadith that in reality it is that the wording, that additional wording is incorrect and wrong, and not a part of the hadith, but actually the statement of maybe others. So the next matter they discuss concerning Masjid fi muttasil Al-Asa'need. And this matter is defined by Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that he mentioned regarding, as for the definition concerning Masjid, where an addition fi muttasil isnad, where the hadith have a muttasil isnad, it has a full connected chain, but there's something additional to it. They mention here concerning Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he mentioned regarding this definition, huwa ma kanat mukhalifat fihi biziyadatin rawin, where there's a ziyadah, we mentioned that there's a mukhalifa, that there's a difference by way of there's an increase, something additional mentioned by one of the narrators, fi isnad al-isnad, in relation to the isnad. So an increase by one of the narrators in relation to someone additional being mentioned in isnad, man lam yazidha, and others did not increase or added this person, and the person man lam yazidha atqan, and the one who did not increase or added this person, that is said to be atqan mimman zadaha, is more reliable than a person who added this person. So what they meant concerning that, so that's concerning this matter regarding Masjid fi muttasil isnad, where you find that an isnad is being mentioned, one of the narrators have added an additional person that others did not mention in the isnad, and the one who did not increase or added this person, they are said to be more reliable. So what is to be done in such a case? So they mention that also you find concerning bishart an yaqa at-tasrih, concerning the one who added that also, that he mentioned by way of he heard from others. So the one who was added also mentioned the hadith by way of him hearing from others. So that's become now the matter that to be looked into regarding this matter. So again, ziyadat, rawi, or akthar, that an additional narrator or narrators have been mentioned in the hadith, but it's by way of khata, an error have occurred. Even though what apparent, the isnad seemed to be okay. So the isnad, from what is apparent, seemed to be okay, seemed to be connected, but there's additional narrator or narrators that have been added by one of those narrators, where others did not mention those additional narrators. So this is Masjid fi muttasil al-isnad. So you might find concerning that they have mentioned regarding concerning cases regarding this, that you'll find concerning what is mentioned of an example of this, that they mention as an example a hadith that is narrated by Ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, قال حدثنا سفيان عن عبد الرحمن ibn Yazid قال حدثني بصر ibn عبد الله قال سمعت أبا إدريس قال سمعت واثلة يقول سمعت أبو مرتد يقول سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يقول لا تجلسوا على القبور ولا تصلوا إليها. Al-Hadith. So this hadith that is mentioned here, that is narrated in Sahih Muslim, wa Abu Dawood, wa At-Timithi, Ibn Hibban, and others, that they mention regarding concerning that there's a ZIyadah that have taken place in the isnad. So concerning this particular hadith, the more discussion relating to the isnad, we'll find that narrators have been added to the isnad by some of the narrators. So they mentioned that in this matter concerning that, you have concerning Allah, Sufyan, and also Abu Idris, that there's a ziyadah by way of Sufyan and also Abu Idris. So regarding concerning this matter, that in other narration, that of an Ibn Mubarak and Ibn Yazid, ليس فيه سفيان. نعم ليس فيه سفيان. So that's concerning the matter concerning that hadith being of that case. So you find concerning some hadith that they are of this type of example. So the ulama regarding concerning this matter is that at times maybe concerning that an error occur from one of the imam. So you find concern that some have mentioned concern that Ibn Mubarak have made a mistake in this particular narration, and this at times it occurs. So you find concerning that قال أبو حاتم يعني الرازي وهم ابن مبارك في إدخاله أبا إدريس في الإسناد. So regarding concerning Ibn Mubarak, that he added someone in the Isnad who is Aba Idris, who is not to be mentioned in the Isnad. Is not really a part of the Isnad, but was mentioned by way of error. So that's concerning Mazid fi Muttasil Isnad. So everything seems to be connected, but in reality, one of the narrators mentioned is not a part of the hadith. But one of the narrators made an error in mentioning that additional person in the Isnad. So that's concerning this matter, that the ulama rahimahullah, they pay attention regarding those matters and their preciseness regarding checking and verifying every aspect of the hadith regarding, as we mentioned, that before in the case concerning ZIyadah AtThiqat, and second regarding Mazid fil Muttasil Isnad, where there's additional things mentioned, but what seems apparent that everything seems to be in place, but the reality is not the case. Some of the ulama, they kind of make a distinction, but that's concerned the matter, even though some more look towards ZIyadah AtThiqat that relates to the matter that relates to the text of the hadith, the wording of the hadith, and some mentioned that regarding Mazid fi Muttasil Isnad is more related to matters where addition in the Isnad, in the chain. But the ulama of hadith, that they kind of somewhat, this is for them, not per se that that's what's been mentioned by some, but not necessarily the case regarding all. Then you find concern that ulama who have written regarding this particular topic, regarding concerning Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah, where he wrote a book that is called Tamiz al-Mazid fi Muttasil al-Asa'need. Tamiz al-Mazid fi Muttasil al-Asa'need. So that's concerning of those works of the ulama pertaining to this particular discussion. So it is inshallah ta'ala for today that we have discussed those two types of hadith. And as we mentioned, that the first being ZIyadah AtThiqat, and the approach of the ulama regarding what it is, and also what's the approach that one should be mindful of when looking at this matter. We find that many of the ulama of latter times, that they generally kind of somewhat accept most ZIyadah AtThiqat in the Isnad, and also more so in the Matan. So one have to be mindful of this regarding sometimes a hadith, regarding ziyadat. One person may narrate a hadith that is marfu', and another might narrate a hadith which is mawquf, and these are some of the ziyadah that also occurs, where some might mention a hadith as hadith ending with the Prophet ﷺ, and some of the narrators might narrate the hadith as a statement of one of the Sahabi. So there's something additional mentioned in the Isnad. So this is making that distinction regarding those matters, and also at times it may occur in the Isnad, and also at times they occur in the Matan, where additional wordings are mentioned, but being able to detect when it is something which is sahih, and when it is rejected. So that inshallah ta'ala will end for today, and continue with ilm al-mustalah. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذه السبيل والآخر دعوانا الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.